Going on, guys? There now. I'm here. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, or if you are new here, welcome. I am the Wolfman, not part of this, monster group here, but still a different kind of animal. But today we are here to review Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. That rhymes. Oh yeah. So but yeah, so I'm joined by Austin because you got to see it the same day that I got to see it, Wednesday night. I had the choice. I did this for you guys. I had the choice to see Chinatown in theaters for its anniversary, or to see Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. And I chose the Pooh.
There you go. Yeah. Well, I mean, I got the Steelbook Blu-ray, so I don't have to go watch it in theaters. But I mean, I like seeing old movies in theaters, but still,
yeah.
Mine wasn't so much that. It's more of I'm trying to see as many new releases as possible, and I'm actually outpacing last year. Oddly enough, even though it feels like there's less stuff coming out, maybe because I'm trying to overcompensate, so I'm seeing everything, and I didn't feel that pressure last year, but I've seen almost twice as many movies this year at the same time I did last year. It's really weird. I'm almost at 30 new releases so far this year, which is kind of crazy.
Wow. Yeah, my goal, I don't know if I'm gonna match the goal, but my goal, because the biggest record I've had is in 2021, where I watched 194 movies that year, and I was like, I was like, I want to try to get to 200. And so my goal is to try to get to 100 by the half year recap, June, all that stuff, and then get to another 100 by like the end of the year,
That's tough to do with new release, especially years like this when a lot of stuff got pushed to next year for strike delays and all that kind of stuff. But if you know where to look, there's enough stuff out there. But you also, I think, have to live in a place that has theaters that will show smaller stuff. If you have just the multiplex in your town, you can only see the Hollywood mainstream stuff. Luckily I live in just a little behind the scenes for me, for anybody who doesn't know, I live kind of right outside of Asheville, North Carolina, so I at least have a couple of sort of art house theaters that will show the independent movies, some of the documentaries, or just some of the smaller stuff.
I've got one.
So I do my best to watch some of those.
I've got one of those, but they're like an hour. It's like an hour and 20 minutes away though, so it's like it would be a little bit of a travel to see those kind of movies. But unless it's like film festivals and such. But yeah, it's it's definitely a challenge, but there is a lot of stuff on streaming. It would also mean you have to watch a lot of dog shit in order to
well, I don't subject myself to just watching like whatever's new on Tubi, like it's I don't steep that low. The only times I'll go out of my way usually to watch like bad stuff, as much as I like bad movies, is if I see a bad movie getting buzz about how bad it is or whatever, i.e. Tyler Perry's Mea Culpa, I'll go out of my way to watch that, or if it just happens to be like the mystery movie, which, the first one of this year for Regal was Founders Day, which is still my worst movie of the year so far. Stuff like that. I do like watching epic bad movies. They're a lot of fun.
Or like Imaginary, where it's like,
where it just gets bonkers bad for like the last, act, and it's just kind of roughly incompetent. But I'll tell you what movie, oddly enough, is, in my opinion, better than Imaginary, better than Night Swim, and better than Founders Day. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. I'm just gonna say it. I think
it is. We were sitting here, guys, just a few weeks ago doing our actually, I guess a couple months ago, doing our recap, of every 2023 horror movie, and I was talking about how much I did not like the first Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. I was not a fan of that one. It was in like my top 10 worst films that year. I thought it was just a bunch of people in a Spirit Halloween costume trying to kill these people. And it was like, it had some interesting shots and such, but there was like, other than that, the acting was terrible. The story was terrible. There's nothing really compelling in it. And then I saw what everyone else saw, and of course it's dropped down now. It's like at 60 something, but when it initially premiered with the reviews, there was like 7 reviews at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and people were like, "What?"
Yeah.
And everyone was shocked. And then it still is holding like an 83% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. So
yeah,
that
I was
is,
gonna see legitimately like what it's at this time of filming, which we should say is like a Thursday night, basically. So this would be
yeah,
really the last chance, I guess, some people would have in a theater because if it's showing tonight, because I think it was doing the 3 nights in a row, right? Like the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
yeah.
But just for not just audiences, but okay, so it is officially rotten now. It's down to 48 on critic wise with
Okay.
21 reviews. But still, that's above the 3% of the first one, I think.
3%. Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, still got an 82% audience though, so I think the
yeah.
audiences are having a little more fun with it. But yeah, did you see the first one in theaters, or did you watch it on streaming later?
I watched it. I should have waited for it to hit Peacock. So I paid the I mean, granted, I didn't pay a full Fathom event price, but I still paid like a $4.99, $5.99 rental to rent it
Okay.
on Amazon Prime as soon as it hit
Yeah.
Amazon Prime, and I watched it.
Well,
And
I was just gonna say this. So I had a lot of people like giving me shit because when the first one came out, like no, I mean, I'll explain what I mean here. When it came out, I went to the Fathom event and I saw it in a theater with a pretty packed theater. Like that theater was packed,
yeah,
like with people, and it was really silly, obviously, and like not a great movie. But we were all like, we're laughing at it and just kind of like having a good time with it and got kind of into the vibe of it. So I had a better experience with the movie than I think with most people, because I think one of the problems is when you watch like a bad movie, I think watching it with a crowd that can kind of get into it and vibe with it and laugh at it and things like that, you're gonna have a more entertaining experience overall. So like I didn't have that bad of an experience with it. Like I knew it was like a bad movie, but I had more fun with it as opposed to let's say somebody at home like on Peacock or whatever watching it by themselves. Like it's not going to be as fun, like obviously. So I didn't have it in my worst of list overall, just because I had a more fun experience with the movie where an audience can kind of help with that. So it was one of those things where I wasn't as harsh to it, but I get that. Yeah, if you're sitting in front of or there was people who got like a screener, right? Like on their laptop. You're sitting on your laptop with your headphones, just watching it. Like, of course, it's going to be like not as good of an experience.
or even if it's just on your TV. And
That's what I mean. You're just at home by yourself.
Yeah,
That's what I mean. Just like watching it. Of course, it's not going to be like as silly and fun. So we had a little bit more fun with it in my particular screening. So maybe it was a unique experience that some people didn't have, and I get that. No, when I went to see this, like significantly less crowd for this one. So maybe it's because people got turned off by that first one and were just over it and didn't care about this one. Despite maybe the reviews. So maybe more people will see this one on streaming. I don't know, and give it a shot after some people are giving it, decent reviews. But yeah, I mean, there was about 10 or 12 people in my screening, something like that, just a few scattered couples and groups, and I was in my row and whatnot. So less of like that atmosphere that I had for the first one. But I think for the most part, my crowd was still laughing and having some good time with the kills and whatnot. We'll get into it.
See, I had 3 other people other than me and my friend in the theater. Like it was like one person in the back and like some other couple that walked in there, and I was like, and that was pretty much it. So it was a very small crowd. And I was like, kind of getting worried. I was like, they're showing all this stuff for this universe ahead of time, but like if this doesn't match the box office, they raised the budget. I don't know by how much, but
I still think it was under $1 million. Like, I think even then, which is like a lot for that studio. But I think they made like 8 or 10 million off that first one or something. So they've got money to spend now. And plus, it got enough buzz to where, Peacock picked it up and featured it. So I'm sure, they got some money from the streaming rights and whatnot, so they, being a showcase movie, essentially. Because I remember when it came out, debuted on streaming, it was all over the front page. So I'm sure some people watched it. So, I mean, they've got money now. And again, they're like Jagged Edge does not spend that much money on their movies, although I think they are making an effort to spend a little bit more effort on this set of movies than they do for like Sky Monster, which is a movie I watched last year, or like the Amityville Scarecrow or whatever. There are other like goofy shit that makes it to Tubi. You know what I mean? Like I think they're trying to at least put some effort because this has that online buzz and that online like chatter, about these movies and the stuff they've announced about the Pooniverse or whatever you want to call it, the fairy tale universe, whatever you want to call it, with these movies. I think they're at least trying to put whatever dollars they can spare towards these movies instead. And I think you can tell.
Yeah. And especially with this one, with them getting a writer, like a well-renowned writer, like from summer of '84, to write the script here, and they have a lot. Like there's a lot of different stuff now. Like Pooh Bear isn't wearing a Spirit Halloween costume, and actually, they're putting effort into how it looks,
the makeup and the gore effects, and even that kind of stuff. Yeah,
they even did something with the first film in this that we'll get to in the spoiler section, because I feel like it's kind of a spoiler if we mention it a little bit. You know what I'm talking about?
It almost feels like this movie, without spoiling it, is almost rebooting a few things as well, and resetting a few things, now that they have a different writer who's trying to, and this isn't a spoiler, but who's trying to like kind of expand the mythology and like the backstory more of like the actual characters and whatnot. They're trying to kind of, it's not like a full retcon or anything, but just, expand on a few things that may not fully, vibe with what they said in the first one, here and there. But I think it's because they got this new writer who's trying to like set up some stuff for the future instead, and it's not just like a quick thing where they put it out, they're actually trying to put some effort into it, and lay some groundwork for what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah, no, I agree. And there's still, obviously there's still room for improvement.
Sure.
Because when I was watching it, like obviously there were certain CGI moments they used that looked a little off. There was some of the lighting, like when certain kills happened, it was hard to like kind of see sometimes because it was very like dark and such. And so if they improve the lighting, if they like get even a bigger budget, improve some of the CGI effects and all that stuff, like yeah, they can do something a little special here, because like the kills are like, if you're coming here for the kills, there's plenty, and it's
plenty of them. This has one of the bigger body counts I've seen in a while, especially once you get to the third act and they really ramp it up. Like even up until then, you still get probably at least 10 or 12 before even that third act. They ramp it up in this one, and let's just say there's a sequence involving a rave, and once we get there, it ramps up significantly. So by the time this thing's all said and done, they're into the high double digits, I think, by the end result.
Oh yeah, and they double that, hint the name, I guess, Winnie Pooh Blind Hey 2, they double everything here, because they, and this isn't a spoiler because they're in the trailer, but they also have Owl and Tigger joining this time. So that's pretty interesting. And so you get more of a dynamic there, and you get 4 of your monster creatures in here. So that's pretty interesting. And I feel like with this one, whereas Christopher Robin the first time around and all the other characters first time around, I did not care for at all. No. I didn't like them at all. There's still, of course, certain expendable characters in this movie, as with most
horror movies,
where you're just like, okay, that person could die and I don't care, but they did a good job to make me at least care for Christopher Robin and to care for at least a few of the other characters in here. Like,
I was gonna say, at least the Christopher Robin character, and to a degree the little sister, you at least care what happens to them. The girlfriend, maybe, but she's kind of stuck, whatever. But at least the main character, your main character, the Christopher Robin character, I feel like, and what's his name, Scott something, I'm blanking on his name, who
Scott Chambers.
Yeah, Scott Chambers, who takes over the role in this one, who's kind of a producer in the series as well. I think he's actually giving an effort to give a good performance. I think he gives a pretty good performance for the most part. And the character development they do with him is a little bit better. There's a lot of these scenes where he's in like therapy with a psychologist, and they're doing like hypnosis and whatnot. And again, we'll get into more details, but I'm being kind of vague. But we get more stuff of like some of the traumas that happened when he was a kid, and like some of the interactions he had, and so you at least get a little bit more to chew on, with this one, and with some of those sequences, and you actually care about where this character arc is kind of going.
Yeah, exactly. And of course there are times, and with Christopher Robin, even as well, there are times when it does take itself too seriously, and whenever it does do that, it starts to lose steam for me. But whenever you get to stuff like, "Hey, that's my line" from Tigger and a few other stuff like, and there's and all the ridiculous shenanigans that happens, with some of the other characters later on, that's when it's fun, and whenever it knows what it is and when it's self-aware. Like, that's what these movies need to do, because that's the first film that was a major criticism of mine. Was I was like, I'm not here to see some serious drama. I'm here to see Winnie the Pooh and Piglet killing people in ridiculous ways. So
yeah, it starts to border on like getting too serious in a few scenes, with the therapist, and then like some stuff that happens to some family members and whatnot. It starts to borderline get there, but I don't think it like takes too much time doing that. We move along fairly quickly. The only time I was starting to get a little lost and disinterested was when we get a pretty big exposition dump, which I'm sure what I'm referring to, with a particular character that gets introduced, where I was kind of like, this is going on for a while. All right, it's a lot of information, but okay. I think we could have maybe spaced out that information throughout the movie instead of just doing like one sort of cliche, like, here comes character to dump all the exposition out, onto everyone. And I was like, yeah, could maybe have figured out some of this on his own somehow. That would be a little more interesting than just having one character. It's just one of those tropey things I don't like in movies. We talked about Imaginary with like the neighbor character who literally does that like twice in that movie, and just hey, hi, I'm exposition neighbor here to drop all the information on you. That's just a horror thing that just like it just bugs me. That's like kind of lazy writing. Like, just to me personally, when you just have one character just straight is just there for exposition. We have it's just something I'm noticing more and more with like some lazy scripts. But yeah, I mean, if Robin was a little more of an active character in that aspect, that would probably fix it, and maybe we'll be going forward. I don't know, but at least he had the therapy sessions, which sort of push some of that along, like at least a little bit, to a degree.
Yeah, and I think on your point with the whole exposition dump, like, I guess my other criticism, I would say, before we get into,
I was going to say, I'm dancing around what they reveal in the exposition dump. I'm not getting there for spoiler purposes, but there's basically an exposition dump where we get a little more of the origin of the Pooh characters and whatnot. You know what I mean? Like, what their actual kind of origin is.
Yeah, which is interesting. So, and some people will probably dig it. Some people won't. But
I was okay with it, but that's just me, because I think it just helps connect the characters a little more. But that's just me. Yeah.
But yeah, my other criticism, I think, with this one is, as I will say, a positive about the first film is it was an hour and 24 minutes. That was quick, breezy, in and out. I feel like because of stuff like the exposition dump and stuff like this is an hour and 40 minutes. I think
it's about 10 minutes too long.
Trimmed it just down just a little bit, like 10 minutes or something like that, just to make it flow a little better. Because a film like this does not need to be an hour 40, hour 45, anything like that. So I feel like that's kind of.
There's like 3 or 4 therapy sequences. I think you only needed like 2, maybe. I think you could have cut like one of them, and get to the point a little bit faster. I was like, once they went back in like a third time, I was like, okay, I got it. Can we like just get back to the kills, like, but again, I think when the kill sequences themselves, when they do happen, I think are a lot of fun and are like over the top and silly, and and you get plenty of the gore and what you're looking for, and some of them are pretty brutal. I feel like there was somebody online compared it a lot to Terrifier versus Terrifier 2, which I think is a pretty decent comparison, as far as the first Terrifier was like, didn't have a whole lot of backstory or imagination or characters you cared about. It was just like, here's a couple of brutal kills and here's a somewhat interesting killer or whatnot with art, and there was something there, but we couldn't like really expand on it, and then we get Terrifier 2, and then we get like a few more characters, like especially the our girl that like we actually kind of care about. We get a little more into art and like let him explore the character a little bit. Granted, that movie's way too fucking long. Like I still maintain that movie just 2 hours and 20 minutes for a slasher is ridiculous. Like it's ridiculous. Like I definitely felt it, and that was like, oh my god, it should not be as long as Armageddon. Like what are we doing? Damien Leone, I know you did a Kickstarter and you want to give the fans everything you shot. I totally understand that. I get it. And you're doing your own thing independently. That's fine. But I think he, at least in that case, I think I've read someplace that he recognized that. So I think the third one is going to be under 2 hours. So I think he heard that criticism and is going to tone it back a little bit. But yeah, I think it's a similar situation because he had a little bit more money to work with. The movie looks really good for what it is. They went, crazier on the kills, like, more elaborate, and they do that here too. So, I think, again, they're getting there. I think the director of this one, the Rice Wakefield guy or whatever, he's still a little iffy as a director, but there's things he does that are good. I think there are some good shots. There's some good, setups and whatnot. There's some good kill sequences, like at least with some imagination behind them, So again, he improves a little bit more. You keep the same writer who's trying to do a little more character development, a little mythology. And I think this could end up being pretty solid for what it is. It's probably Jagged Edge's best movie so far. I'll say that, at least.
That's not saying much, but
it's not saying much, but it's not like a bad, this could have been way worse. Like it could have just been cranked out with nothing. It could have been.
The end result being that they found a way to make me walk out of this movie saying, you know what? Okay, I'll give this Poohniverse a chance. I'm intrigued into seeing what they do.
The first one was like not great, but I was like, but I'll at least give it a sequel and see what they do. If they can make a sequel, do something. And this is a vast improvement over the original. And it kept me at least hooked, at least for now, to go like, okay, like I went out of that movie. I was entertained, like for the most part. I had some fun. I had a few little hooks of like character intrigue and whatnot that I didn't really see coming that I liked. And yeah, it was over the top and silly when it needed to be, and it looked good. So like, I'll give this one another chance. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm not shut out of this. I'm like, okay, you're setting up these movies. They're setting up their own little Avenger universe or whatever. Like, I'm in. Like, unless they completely shit the bed with the next like 2 or 3 movies, and the other ones are just awful. Like, I'll keep going for now, and see what happens. Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just a win-win in my book. So
now I do think we talked a little bit before. I do think you need to be a horror fan to enjoy these movies. This is not going to convert somebody who's not a horror fan. Like if you watch, if all you could take is Jaws or something, and you're just like not a horror fan, or you can barely watch any of the Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and they're just not for you. Or whatever, like this isn't going to convert you to being a horror fan. No. It's not. This is for the people who watch a lot of horror movies, and because I can see the influences, I can see where they pulled a few little things here and there, and like again, we'll talk about it in the spoilers, but where they pulled some stuff and some inspiration and whatnot. So you can catch all that as a horror fan. But again, I've seen some horrendous horror movies. Way worse than this movie.
Oh, yeah,
so sure. We canceled our Thanksgiving 3 drinking game, and we watched some bad movies for our drinking games that we do for our monthly mistakes. And like, I've seen way worse movies than Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. I would easily watch this movie again, like next week if I had to. You know what I mean? Like easily. Like it's way more
not as bad as Thanksgiving 3. So there you go.
Yeah, no, not even close. Not even close. Like it's light years ahead of that. Or the first one. Yeah.
And so I liked the comparison you made about Terrifier because I feel like they both share the same kind of thing when it comes to horror fans and non-horror fans. Like if you get a non-horror fan to watch any of the Terrifier movies, they're gonna tell you they probably hate it. Like that's just not for like it's super, like squeamish, just blood, gore constantly, all that kind of stuff.
Those movies are for hardcore horror fans, like 100%. Yeah,
and it's like the same way with Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, and all that stuff. So yeah, and we will get into some of those things that it in
and just before we get into spoilers for anybody who wants to cut it off to avoid spoilers, I give it like a mild thumbs up. I give it like a recommend. Like, you know, I thought it was an improvement. I had fun with it. When it ramps up in the third act, it's a lot of fun. It's a goofy, silly, good time. And yeah, it improves in every aspect to the point where I can like solidly endorse the movie. Like I really can, like with a straight face. I'm not being like ironic or anything or anything like that. Like I was entertained and I had a good time, like legitimately. And it's better than a lot of the studio horror I've seen this year. So you know what? Thumbs up to Winnie the Pooh Blood Honey 2. So
yeah, I would give it like a thumbs up as well. Like, you know, there's definitely room for improvement.
Sure.
There's definitely it's not like a perfect film by any means, not you know, anywhere close to that, but it's still at least a step in the right direction for this franchise and something that at least makes me come out of it saying, hey, I'm intrigued what you have next.
Which is why I push back on this notion, and I love you, Dan Merle. I love you. But he was going off on this thing on being like a continuation of like a cheap cash grab. And I would agree with him that I think the first one was kind of a cheap cash grab, just on an ironic notion. Okay. I think the first one probably was. And it pulled out some hype, you know, Winnie the Pooh went to public domain and they were the first ones to get to it. Right. But I think if it was like a soulish cash grab, they wouldn't have made the effort they did to improve this movie. You see what I'm saying? I think they would have kept the same cheap designs. I think they would have kept the same writers. I think they would have kept the same kind of lazy effort for the first one. And I don't think they really would have gone out of their way to greatly make an effort to improve this one in almost every aspect. You know what I mean? I don't see how that would benefit them if it was just a cash grab. If it was just a cash grab, you put out the same shit like the second time, you know, like, and you wouldn't change the mask, you wouldn't change the things, you wouldn't try to do more kills, you wouldn't try to do that. Like you would not try to do that. You would just do another just generic movie, you know, and
they heard the criticisms,
and I think they tried to fix them. Yeah, that's why I don't think it's like a soulless cash grab. I push back on that 100%, and I will defend that. And, you know, and I'm not saying again every Jagged Edge movie is great because there's a lot of bad Jagged Edge stuff, but I think I think at least with this one, they're trying. Like I really do think they want to try to make something out of this, like for real, and really kind of. I don't know if it's like step into the mainstream is the right word, but at least like, you know, start getting respected a little bit. Is that the right word? I don't know. Like I'm trying to find the right words, but yeah, something like that. You know, as a sort of horror studio.
I think so. And I think the more and more this goes on, then I think the more it'll be that they'll even learn more from their previous like from this film, any criticisms from this film. I think they'll just improve on, and they'll just, if they keep it up here, and they'll just get better and better and better as they go on. So yeah, now we are in the spoilers section, guys. So if you have not seen Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 and you're holding out for when it's on streaming or something like that, then wait for this, come back, and then watch this section of the review, because we'll be talking about.
I'm sure it'll be on VOD fairly quickly, probably within a month or two, you know, like because especially since it's only a 3-9 minute, you know, it's not hanging around theaters for super long. Probably within a month or two, it'll be available for VOD, maybe on Peacock as well. Like since they did the first one, you know, within the next 2 or 3 months, I'm sure probably by summer it'll be on there. So, yeah, but I will say stream it. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. And hey, the first one's even getting. They announced the first one's even getting a physical media release soon. So.
Oh, it does. It already does.
Yeah.
There's a Walmart had a steelbook of it. I don't have it personally, but they did. I wasn't adding to that movie to where I needed to own it. But if they do one for this movie, I might buy it. Yeah, I probably will.
Especially because they said that they cut out 7 kills, and that will be featured on the DVD or Blu-ray at the Fathom event thing when they were doing like their early thing. They said there were so many kills that they had to cut out like 7.
I was gonna say it seems like they even cut some of the rave kills. Like we can get into it now because we're in spoilers, but because you know even in the rave sequence we see some from like behind a tarp, and you know the blood splattering everywhere, and we see a lot of bodies. We don't see every single one of those kills. I feel like there was probably a few left on the cutting room floor just to kind of get to some of the major ones later when everybody's kind of running around this warehouse or wherever they are. It seems like this endless warehouse that they're at, running up and down the stairs, all down these hallways. But yeah, I mean, I guess we're jumping ahead. We should kind of go back to sort of the initial stuff, but because I mean, where do we start with the the new characters? We got Owl, who's and everybody kind of has an allusion to a greater horror character. I think it's fair to say Owl is like Pinhead.
I was actually going to say the Creeper from Jeepers Creepers.
Mix of the Creeper and Pinhead, the way he talks, as far as that is, being like the mastermind guy who kind of lets everybody else do the work. Tigger is Freddy Krueger, obviously, with the claws and him calling bitch. Pooh is Michael Myers, this unstoppable kind of killing machine. Piglet gets taken out, so I don't know what Piglet is.
I actually got more like either Jason or Leatherface vibes from Pooh, because especially whenever Pooh was using the chainsaw at some point, there's like that kind of stuff, and then with Jason, I guess I can kind of see that as well with the whole like stature of him and everything. But you can definitely see those inspirations. Honestly, that's the one also criticism I have is like, if y'all are Piglet fans, like it's just I wish that he was kind of a pointless character. Like he didn't need to be in here.
It could have just been the trio, and I think it would have been fine.
It's like, you could have introduced Piglet later, because literally he's pointless in this movie. He gets shot in the head at the beginning, and then he's just pretty much gone through that whole rest of.
He's coming back because they mentioned that they have regenerative properties, and we see them kind of growing back in the sort of. It's not a mid-credit scene, but it's like it's a credit scene, but it's like 10 seconds into the credits, we see them kind of regenerating or whatnot. The wounds are healing, so they'll be back. But yeah, I mean, we could obviously get into some of the revelations that they have in this movie with Pooh essentially being Christopher Robin's brother. Is that right? Who was kidnapped, and all these kids, essentially all these characters were children that were kidnapped by this like mad scientist guy who wanted to make animal people hybrids, using these wacky experiments, and then it made them grow into and take more of the animal characteristics, as they grew up, and, messed them all up and all that. So we find out that, Pooh was abducted. His brother that was abducted when he was a kid, and then would kind of, hang around occasionally, I guess, could wander back into his life, whatnot, but was pissed off all the time. Or he has like false memories or something of like good things happening with him, but it was actually false memories. Like they were actually like he was doing bad things to everybody. I guess it makes sense because, when you're a kid, your memories might be a little fuzzy, or you project certain things that maybe didn't actually happen.
Sure. And speaking of memories, I liked how this movie portrays the first film almost in a meta sense, where it's like, they talk about how Christopher Robin kind of shared story of something that happened in 100 Acre Woods, but then they decided to make a film based on that.
So Jagged Edge within this film made a film really fast within 6 months and cranked out a movie. It's if you want a good comparison, it's what Stab is to Scream. It's Stab and Scream. So the people in Scream are watching the Stab movies. There's the sequence where there's a kid who's like obsessed with horror movies, and he's wearing like a hockey mask, and he's got like a plastic machete and all this kind of running around. He's watching the Winnie the Pooh movie on screen. So that was meta. It's like that's almost like them saying like ignore the first movie and just start with this one. Almost it kind of feels like that, because again, this one sort of feels in ways like a reboot because of the character design changes. Like it doesn't look exactly the same. You really could go into this movie without having seen that first movie and you'd be okay, because you still have kind of the narration and the storybook like backstory and that sort of thing. And you could not know much about that, what happened in that first one, other than Pooh and his friends killed some people in the first movie. That's all you really need to know. And then you could go right into this movie.
It's honestly, this is good for new audiences and for the audiences who saw the first film. And I feel like that's good. They listen to the criticisms. They're trying to, in a way, say, hey, that was a mistake. This is the film that you guys want. This is the film we're starting from, and all that stuff. So that was pretty pretty gnarly, pretty fun to see there. But yeah, the kills themselves all was like extremely brutal from the opening sequence.
Yeah, the opening with the girls in the little camper. Yeah,
Yeah,
with the one like she gets trapped in the bear trap, and then Pooh proceeds to break every one of her limbs, like both the
oh yeah,
arms and the legs. And then the final kill, the other one gets kind of burned up pretty badly, and then is in a lake until she gets like impaled with like a tree limb essentially or something like that by Owl. Yeah, I mean, they come out with a bang in this one, and I thought even some of that
yeah.
stuff looked pretty good, like the fire on the camper. Like there was a shot where the owl was like doing this pose in front of the burning camper. Like it looked pretty good. Like you tell again, I was even from that opening shot, I was like, okay, they're putting some effort into like doing some creative shots and some creative, cinematography with what they've got, and I could tell the directors learned a little bit. Maybe it's trying to, again, go out of their way to do something a little more cool here.
Yeah, like a lot of the practical effects, like the burn face or or like the guy who gets shot in the face by Pooh but still lives, and he has
When he pulls the bandages off of his face and like it was kind of like hanging down, and like that looked pretty good. Like I'll give him the makeup was good. Like I have no problem giving credit where credit's due. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. But like some of that stuff was good, and I was impressed, especially for the budget. Yeah, I was like, that looked pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was really well done there. What else would you want to like bring up in spoilers here?
Well, I mean, we could talk about Tigger, like the introduction of Tigger, which they treat him almost like a werewolf or something, like a caged werewolf. And yeah, the first we don't get a lot of him till the end. Like we only really get one sequence in the middle where the cops are kind of roaming through the woods and they find the tree house thing, and they go in there, and Tigger's behind like a cage door. They got him like contained, like a wild animal, and the door opens up, and we don't get much of it. One gets like sucked into the door, and the other ones are kind of like they run, and he grabs onto the tree, they pull him back in. So you don't get like much of this scene in there. You hear him a little bit, and you get a quick glimpse of him. But yeah, we really don't get him till the third act, till they kind of Owl sort of unleashes him on the rave people essentially, and he shows up in that door. And again, when he shows up, it's a pretty cool shot. He's like standing in that doorway, all lit up, and the tail's kind of waving back and forth, and he's got like the claws out, and like it's a good shot. I'll give him credit. Like there's some good shots and stuff. It looks good. Again, the makeup is kind of cool. I mean, the only thing I would tone down is like the over-the-top Freddy illusions with him literally slashing women on the back while saying "bitch, bitch, bitch."
I mean, but at least like he kept the tone it should have been,
right?
Like
he kept the silly tone,
the silly tone, like whenever like let's bounce, and he's like, "Hey, that's my line," and stuff that, and, slicing them and all that stuff. Like that's the kind of silliness I wanted, and I'm glad they did that with Tigger, and some of the other lines, like having Pooh Bear go like, "Oh bother!" like right as he's about to get the axe to the head.
Well,
like,
and it's a nice contrast from Pooh, because Pooh is very much like the big muscly guy who's just the more like one hit kind of brutal stuff, where he'll like just pound somebody into a wall or something, or hit with one thing. And Tigger instead is like he's hopping all over the place and jumping everywhere and pouncing on people, like a tiger, and doing like quick stabs, and he's taking people out from underneath the grates and on top of the grate, and he's all over. And it was a nice little contrast from what Pooh was doing. So like I was having a good time with that whole sequence. I thought it was really fun.
Oh yeah, which and then you have Owl, who can also fly and grab people and all that stuff, which I thought which I guess was kind of weird in the scene in the woods, which by the way, there's more people who lived in this movie than I thought was going to. There was like 4 people who lived, the boy she was babysitting, the little girl, and then the girlfriend and Christopher Robin. I was like, wow, okay, 4 people in a slasher movie.
I kept waiting for when they were in the cop car at the end for Owl to land on the cop car, and pounce on him and be like one last. Or even if that's how the movie ended, with him like pouncing on him, or something, or him to kill one more person, because they show him flying around, but he never does anything.
Grab the girl and like fly up in the sky or something.
And
like
have that be a teaser. Maybe he takes
like,
her hostage or something, and like that's the cliffhanger or something. It never happened.
I was thinking, because it was odd, because like as she was running in the woods to like try to find Christopher Robin or something, like you could see Owl was up there, he was like talking to her, saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna find you," and all this stuff, and he's like, saying whatever he's saying, and then I was like, wait, where was all that? Because like you saw Pooh, he was fighting him, he got killed, but then it's like I guess this owl grabs Pooh after he's killed and then takes him back to the cave thing. I was like, okay, I thought they were going to do a little bit more with that, but
maybe more concerned with rehabbing his buddies first, and then we'll go continue the rampage. Because Tigger gets shot. He actually gets a shot or two off on Tigger with one of the cops' guns, and so there's a few little threads there that they could continue. But I thought there might be some kind of cliffhanger with like maybe Owl, like scooping up the sister or something at the end. Something to kind of hook you for the next one. But I guess it's just. Like a lot of horror movies, they're still out there and they're going to kill more later. That's pretty much the thread they leave it on. They leave a trail of carnage and they'll be back at some point.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's good to have a set up for a sequel. It's just because they announced there will be a third one coming, and they announced there's going to be even more of this type of stuff. So it's good to be able to set up your universe and have an idea and a plan, and that's what looks like they do have. And as far as I thought they weren't really super well developed, but I liked the mom and dad. When she mentions when she opens up the dishwasher, though, all of a sudden I was like, oh, that someone's
if that isn't like an obvious sequel, because what we're talking about is like somebody's loading the knives like face up in the dishwasher, and it's like, oh yeah, somebody's getting their head pulled into that. I didn't expect it to actually be the mom, like the actual parents, but I thought it'd just be maybe somebody they had over or something. But we should say, both the parents get killed, the mom and the dad. Pretty brutal. And again, credit to the makeup effects when the mom actually gets stabbed into it. There's a part where she comes back up, she's still alive, and all the knives are like sticking out of her head, all that kind of stuff. Like, it looked pretty good. Stuff looked all right. And they get taken out, but the little kid does live. The little horror kid, I thought I wasn't sure about it. I wasn't sure if he was going to live or not, because I wouldn't put it past a movie like this to kill a horror obsessed kid. We've seen other horror movies where they're not afraid to kill one of the kids or something.
Absolutely not. I mean, Dr. Sleep, we've seen.
Another one I was rewatching. One of my favorites, The Blob, kills one of the two kids in that movie. So I mean, some movies aren't afraid to go there. I mean, there's some good stuff. The kid has like a little RC car. It's a little funny. He's like driving around and he sees. I at first thought they actually did kill the like his sister, but it was off screen, because then you just see Pooh walking around the house afterwards, and I was like, oh shoot, did he just kill her? And like they just did it off screen. Like that's what I thought at first, but apparently not. I do like how with the first film it was only in the 100-acre woods. This time they're like going into his house, going into other areas, like a rave party. They're in town.
They're in the main town section.
Well, it's a good concept, and again, it's another one of those things we see in a lot of movies where the first one was out in the suburbs or whatever, and this one's in the town, in the big city, if you will. You know what I mean? Gremlins 2, Home Alone 2, Predator 2. You go to more of the town or the city or whatnot. It's not like a big city. It's a little British town or whatever. But still, having them kind of take the fight to the city was a good decision, to like not sort of where you don't have to contrive, because otherwise what would they have done? Oh, we're having a rave in the woods, like a Freddy versus Jason thing in the cornfield or something, like you would have to contrive a way to get everybody out there. But it's like, no, let's just go in there and just go kill everybody in one little location. And sure, is that rave there to up the body count significantly? Yeah. But you know what? Why not? You got to show what they can do and show that they're, a significant threat, and they're amping up the body count. And I didn't mind it. Yeah.
I didn't either. And this definitely has. Maybe I'll have to look at the record of what is the most kills in like a single horror movie.
Is it the collection?
It might be,
because the collection has that one nightclub scene at the beginning where the dude unleashes one of those traps and it kills like 200 people in a club.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that? Another club scene where like everybody dies. It's got to be in the hundreds. So I mean, I don't want to get too technical. Well, technically, but like stuff like Cabin in the Woods, where the entire world dies, presumably,
I mean,
I mean, stuff like that. But I just mean, yeah, as far as a primary character or characters killing a bunch of people, yeah. I mean, I don't know if this one would take the record or anything like that, but I feel like by the end of the movie, it's got to be at least 50 or so, 60 maybe. Yeah, something like that. I was trying to kind of count, but got to be something around. A lot of decapitations. They like their decapitations in this movie.
They do. I was thinking while I was watching this movie, I was like, oh, we probably shouldn't
Drinking
do
game for every decapitation.
for every kill, like just
for every kill. Yeah, I mean,
it's
oh my god.
Like, God.
Yeah, because even just all the ones we do actually see on screen, because yeah, he gets to the rave and there's some that are already dead, but it'd be hard to kind of tell how many people are there. But even the one on screen ones we get at least 20 on screen kills, maybe 30, like individually. Yeah, it's a lot.
It absolutely. But yeah, so do you have any like concluding thoughts and spoilers?
No, I mean, just I've kind of covered a lot of my general thoughts as far as where I think this is going and what they did, just technically speaking, and even again to the writing and the mythology, to where I think it was amped up. And like we said, it's not like a perfect movie. If I gave it out of 10, it's a 6.5 out of 10. Like it's not perfect, but you know what? Again, I had it higher than some of the other horror movies I've seen this year from major studios, from Blumhouse, things like that. I had a good time with it overall. There's a couple of slow moments. Sure, they probably could have trimmed, 10 minutes out of it. Maybe it picked up the pace just a little. Some of those middling sections, like it feels like it's dragging just a tad. It does get a little melodramatic here and there, with some of the, Chris Robin crying scenes and whatnot, things like that. But, understandably so in a few things. I just think it could have been a little bit tighter. But overall, again, I've seen way worse horror movies. This is a perfectly fine horror movie. Like, I don't understand the people who are like saying this is as bad as the original. Like, I just think you're flat out wrong. You're just wrong. I'm sorry. I would watch this one 10 times over watching the original again, like easily. I will probably watch this again. Yeah, I'll pick it up on physical. They put it out. I'll watch it again. And I had a good time with it.
This is the type of film that if you're hosting a Halloween party or something, you would put this on with friends and just laugh and have a great time and just
in between the kills, you just take a few drinks, you chit chat, pull out your phone. Oh, here's another kill scene. I mean, because they do stick to the thing of like not every 10 minutes there's a kill scene. They keep to it.
Which is a very 80s.
Yeah, we get the hunters thing, and then we get some stuff with Christopher Robin, but then we get the cops going into the tree, and then we go back. And then we get, them going into the town and starting their kills there. I mean, we bounce back and forth enough to where it's just enough. And then you get more than your share by the time you get to that third act finale, essentially. And I think that stuff's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. So, yeah, I mean, you got to be a hardcore horror fan to enjoy it. But I liked it. I had a good time. So, again, solid thumbs up. I recommend it. Yeah, I liked it.
I recommend it as well. This is definitely one that I know that for some people, maybe it's also just the price of having to pay the $14 something for the Fathom event thing too.
I feel like I got way more of my money's worth this time. I'll say that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I paid that much for Jeepers Creepers Reborn, and I was like, and then this one definitely was a far better movie. So it's still like that. So yeah, definitely a thumbs up, and definitely something I enjoyed, and I can't wait to see where it goes next. So
yeah, we'll see.
But so do you have anything coming up?
No, I mean, just you can check out my channel. It's right there in my description right there. Movie Hero Network. I co-host most of the stuff over there. We have a bunch of different shows. We have several podcasts. We have a wrestling podcast. We determine fights tier ranker. You can see Wolfman on a good amount of those. On any given week or so. He pops up here and there. And then we do our show once a month. Our monthly mistake is what we call it, which you can find on this channel. So I'm always on there. We usually pick a horror movie and we do a drinking game and get wasted on camera, so you can watch us do that. We just did Leprechaun Back to the Hood for St. Patty's Day, and I guess we'll figure out if we're doing the OG April Fool's Day or the remake of April Fool's Day, which I have not seen.
Yeah, because I don't really have anything else to do other than edit this video tonight. I'm probably gonna actually watch the remake of April Fool's Day again, maybe tonight. and then try to like jot down notes and see if there's anything
come up with a
of,
drinking
like,
game for it.
a drinking game, and then if there's not, then I'll let you know and be like, okay, yeah, maybe we would just do the original. But we're definitely gonna do one of those two for sure, and that'll be a lot of fun. And of course, also, I and I wonder if there's enough Jagged Edge movies to do a tournament fight for. I don't know if there is.
There is, but you would get a whole lot of. I haven't seen this. I've only seen 5 or 6 of them, and I've seen clips of other ones because one of my friends in this community, John Marr, does a show called John Versus, and it's pretty much just him reviewing all the bad Jagged Edge movies because they have a pretty huge backlog going back about 7 or 8 years. So, and I did one episode with him for a movie last year called Sky Monster, which is not great, but that's over on a channel called Why We Love Horror, which you can check out if you like. But yeah, so I'm mostly Movie Hero Network. Come check us out, and tune in. You'll see Wolfman on an episode here and there. So,
absolutely. And you guys can find me, of course, here on this channel, Mega Movies. Make sure you subscribe to the Movie Hero Network and you're subscribed to Mega Movies, because I not only will you guys be getting this review, but I'm seeing Godzilla X Kong tomorrow night. So then I will be
just saw it today.
Oh, interesting. You'll have to say yay or nay.
Hence me wearing a Godzilla shirt at the time of this recording.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I see the Godzilla shirt. Yeah. It's I'm going in very low expectations, but I'm hoping to at least.
I will say it's more fun than you might think by the time it's over. I'll say a lot of monster fights, so you at least get monster fighting. Cool. I'll say that.
That's what we're in for.
Not as boring as the previous movie. I'll say that. I thought the previous one was kind of boring. This one's not as boring. I'll say that.
I thought it was really boring too. So, because I literally rewatched it after I watched Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Watched it today.
I rewatched it last night after I saw Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey too, and I was like, wow, we live in a society where I was less bored with a Winnie the Pooh, slasher movie, and I had actual that was actually entertaining, and I was actually engaged in that film, and I'm sitting here being bored by Godzilla in a Kong movie. But yeah, so you guys can definitely find all those reviews coming up for you guys, and then also there's another film apparently that's on VOD now called Easter Bloody Easter that just released. It looks wild and ridiculous. It's a new 2024 movie, and I'm going to watch that and do a review on Easter for you guys of that, so you guys can stay tuned for that and much more. So yeah, we will see you all in the next one, and until next time, stay classy, my friends.